You are here for the Lakers Nightcap. I'm your host, Joe Soro. Want to start the night off with the Nightcap. So tonight, I feel like celebration warrants a vodka and sugar-free Red Bull. No, we are not sponsored by Tito's, and I'm not sponsored by Red Bull, but this drink is nice and smooth. So for all of you who are here right now or coming in, go ahead and post the drinks that you have here for Nightcap. I know it's a lot easier to have a drink on a Friday night, so you don't have to worry about working. For those of you working the 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday, I should say. But tonight was a very, very, very good win. For those of you who were on the playback, you saw a lot of ebb and flow on that. Again, salute to everyone. This is, again, vodka Red Bull, the best up-downer drink you can have. And tonight we're going to talk about the Lakers, obviously, and their win over the New Orleans Pelicans. I thought, hey, Henry, how you doing, bud? Joe, I really want to know later how you manage doing all this podcasting with managing a business. You know what? Hang tight. Let me get a little bit of. Let me tell for those who weren't on the post game. The Lakers beat the Pelicans 139-122. How you doing, Eric? The Lakers tonight were an offensive an offensive machine. They played about as well offensively than they have all year. Very, very, very happy with what they did. There was still a lot of deficiencies in their offense, obviously, because they don't really run an offense. But we did see a lot more cutting than usual, a lot more slashing. Like Rui's performance. Rui had the best plus minus tonight, which was nice considering he had a really, really, really bad game last night. And a win on the back end of a back-to-back is always welcomed, especially against a good team like the New Orleans Hornets. New Orleans Hornets had just beaten the LA Clippers in at the crypt. So, New Orleans is a good team. The Lakers have a few days off here, likely because of the Super Bowl. They're going to be playing Detroit on Tuesday, and then they're going to be going to Utah after that. And then after that is the week off for the NBA All-Star game. So if the Lakers can actually muster up enough strength here to beat Detroit, which I think they will, and then on the next night play Utah and beat Utah, they will be 4 games above 500 and at 30 wins at the break. At that point, we're going to wait to see if they can make a run within the next month. After Utah, they're going to be on the West Coast Pacific time zone for a month straight. They are not going to leave the Pacific Standard Time clock, which means their sleeping habits, although they are still flying to certain places, but in terms of the time zone jet lag thing, they're not going to have to deal with that for a month. So this would be a good time for them to make up a lot of ground and get going on that. Thanks again, Henry. You know me, I always do my thing. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate it, man. And I'm here to give the content that you guys want. Again, it's going to be Laker related heavily, but I do want to talk about, especially this time of year, there's a lot of excitement going on right now. Everything is kind of here, right? It's in Vegas, it's in LA. Sean Ohtani has taken over baseball. It's not just a Dodger thing. He has taken over baseball, and if the Dodgers win it all this year, if you think the attention right now is where it is, you haven't seen anything yet. The Dodgers win the World Series, and Ohtani's like a NLCS MVP and a World Series MVP. Japan is going to explode. LA is going to explode, and the attention towards baseball is going to explode. So there's a lot of, I would say, Manfred right now, the commissioner of MLB, he's very excited about what's going on, especially if they can get lucky and play a team like the Yankees in the World Series, or maybe even Houston. Still want Houston in the World Series at some point here. This might be the year because Houston did improve. They did get Hader on a long-term contract. They're still formidable, so I would love to see a rematch of the cheaters in 2017. But this time, the Dodgers putting a stomp on their faces. That's something that I've been waiting for here for 7 years. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened. Henry, if you wanted me to explain the Dave Roberts thing, let me know if you're still here. I'll go ahead and do that. But looking at, I'll talk more Dodgers here as the questions come in. Dodgers are a first round exit. I'm not going to argue against that, PMC. You all know how I feel about Dave Roberts, and Intel had said something right at the end before I left the post game show. That's not a good enough excuse, Intel, if you're listening, okay? That's not a good enough excuse where he doesn't play. Dave Roberts doesn't hit the ball. Dave Roberts put Clayton Kershaw as his one starter last year in a game he shouldn't even have been a part of the rotation. And I understand that the pitching wasn't good all year. They were battling. But you don't put one of the biggest disappointments ever in postseason play as your number one when you really, really need a shot. Should have just put Bobby Miller as the one. If Bobby Miller gets shellacked, no one bats an eye. Hey, Bobby Miller, first time coming in, being the number one guy, the only option they had at the time, you live with it. Maybe you get some experience from it or something. And you would tell him that. You would tell him, look, try to do your best. I believe if you put Bobby Miller in there, they're not scoring 6 runs in the first inning. Maybe 2, right? And you have a shot at trying to get something mustered up during the game. But Dave Roberts has made so many mistakes that were not warranted that I will never trust him. Kevin Cash in the 2020 World Series, he had Blake Snell mowing everyone down in Game 6. One hit by Barnes. One hit. And he took him out in the 6th inning. And as soon as he did that, it was 2-1 right after that. Within 5 minutes. You had Betts get a hit. You had Seager have an inside hit. Barnes ended up scoring on an error. It was a complete disaster. And it's a play that Dave Roberts' only World Series win was when the opposing manager pulled a Dave Roberts. The irony in that is hilarious. So that's how that goes. Henry, if you're if you've been paying attention, let me know if there's anything else you need to know about Dave Roberts. And on that note, I want to push it to the positive thing with the Dodgers too. The Dodgers right now, this checked in. Yamamoto checked in. There was a lot of people there today. I don't remember. I don't remember this kind of atmosphere in February. People are excited. Ohtani, Yamamoto, the pitching staff showed up. All the pitchers are checking in right now, and they're going to be doing their thing. And I'm going to be watching. I had a couple of tickets that I got as a Christmas gift. I'm going to pick which game here soon on which one I'm going to go to. Likely, probably a Padre game because I love watching baseball at Petco. It's easy to get in, easy to get out. I have friends that live literally a block away. Dodger Stadium is not bad either. I think it's one of the better stadiums to get in and out of. But I would rather drive 55 minutes up and down versus driving 2 hours each way from where I'm at to Chavez Ravine. So Super Bowl Sunday, starting to get close now. Nothing too much going on. It's been pretty quiet. I know there's been some things like Patrick Mahomes' pops getting popped for DWI. I know Nick Bosa was complaining about somebody setting the fire alarm while they were sleeping. I think they were trying to pull as much drama as they could that was unnecessary. Who gives a crap? If you can't play a game on Sunday because somebody did something on a Friday, then why does that even matter? So, but I think at the end here, and I'm sorry to say this to my San Francisco buddies, as long as Patrick Mahomes is in a game, I can't bet against him. So I'm picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. And if Patrick Mahomes wins his 3rd Super Bowl in 7 years of being a starter, you're gonna start. I can comfortably say this because of the accomplishments, because of his ability, not only with his arm, his legs, his ability to play through pain, but just the processing. Patrick Mahomes' processing is Dan Marino, it's Joe Montana, it's Tom Brady, it's Peyton Manning-esque. The thing is, though, like when you compare Mahomes to Peyton Manning had too many duds in his career to be the greatest. He was probably the greatest regular season quarterback that ever played, but that's not good enough in sports. You have to be good in the postseason. So Patrick Mahomes, should he win on Sunday, he is going to put himself in a position where in just 7 years of playing, he's going to put himself in a position where he's going to start really climbing up. He's going to be in that area just a few slots away from Montana and Brady. He'll probably number 3. He's got an argument for number 3 at that point. If he wins next year and three-peats, I would say you're talking about, you could probably say he's the best ever. You could say it. I'm not saying it. Still needs to win probably a couple more. But a three-peat, the only team that's ever three-peated were the Packers. And it was in 1966, 67, and 68. 66 was the last year they didn't play, that they played in just an NFL championship game. 67 was the first Super Bowl. 1967 season was the first Super Bowl where the Packers won Super Bowl 1, 68, Super Bowl 2, both won by the Packers. So it was the NFL championship, and then they won the NFL championship the following year, and then the NFL championship 3 years in a row. And those last 2 years where they had to play another game, because at that time, the first 4 Super Bowls were the NFL and the AFL, different leagues playing for the Super Bowl. So it was 2 different leagues. They didn't merge and make it a conference in each side until 1970. So that's how that works. So you're talking about, this will be the first, should they do it, first if he wins this year and next year, the first three-peat Super Bowl winner. And I'm not a Chiefs fan. I am a Patrick Mahomes fan to some degree. That to me is appealing because you guys already know, I've said this before, I want to see greatness. I don't want to see mediocrity. I think there's a chance that the Chiefs could accomplish that. There is a small chance, though. I've been hearing some rumblings about Andy Reid. I've made a prediction that if the Kansas City Chiefs lose the Super Bowl, I think Andy Reid walks away. If he wins, I think he might be able to get convinced to come back to try to see if he can get a three-peat. And of course, if they don't do it next year, I think Andy Reid's last year will be next year. So that's my prediction for that. I don't have any inside sources on that. I'm just going by what I've seen and read online, that there is some chance that Andy Reid will retire. And my guess would be, if he wins, there's a chance they might convince him to try to do a three-peat. If they lose, I think he rides off into the sunset. And, you know, coaches don't have to wait 5 years to get in the Hall of Fame. I think Andy Reid gets in the Hall of Fame next year. Tinfoil hat on. You don't think it's scripted for Chiefs to win because Mahomes can be publicized as the GOAT and Taylor Swift gives NFL more views? I'm not going to argue against anything being fixed anymore in the NFL. I think I'm a little tired of a lot of the things that are going on in the NFL. I've talked about it on the show a lot. I try not to get into too much of the NFL because it does irritate me. I think the NFL's core purpose is no longer there anymore. And there was a time where you could play every week, especially being a Steeler fan, where the intimidation was enough to get you to be uncomfortable. And then, of course, if you had the talent, then it was just even better. So I don't to say that this thing is fixed. There's some, let's just say manipulated is the word that comes to mind. Fixed is a little hard to do. I think if somebody was fixing these games, it would be too easy to. I think it's manipulated in a legal way. The rules. So by, let's say, a ref calling a particular sack a roughing the quarterback situation, that becomes very subjective, and you can't really fix that. Like you almost have to. It's going to depend on the particular official. Now, one thing that I have noticed about the last few Super Bowls is you haven't seen a lot of penalties. They have to be blatant. A lot of people were really upset about Philadelphia's holding call that ended up costing them the Super Bowl at the end last year. But that was a holding call, guys. It was a legitimate call. And I heard a lot of people talking, well, they shouldn't have called it at that time. Well, if he didn't call it, then you'd be on him for not calling it. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm not supporting the refs. I'm not a big fan of the NFL ref officiating in general. That's also a competition committee and also a Roger piece of garbage Goodell issue. But by having those issues, no bad publicity is still good publicity for how his brain works. He doesn't care, and neither does the audience. Neither do the gamblers. No one cares. Everyone can complain and whine all they want. Soon as you see that complaining and whining, you see 30 million people watching the Peacock ad when everyone was whining and complaining about it. I bet you half the people that complain about it, all the millions that complain about it, went right into their little apps and went ahead and eventually succumbed to getting that game on their app, right? The NFL has everybody by the nuts, and there's nothing you can do about it other than stop watching. And if the pandemic didn't make you stop, then I don't know what will. If the Colin Kaepernick situation didn't make you stop, then nothing will. Roger Goodell, Bill Burr said this, famous comedian right now. He said Roger Goodell could punt a baby in the middle of the field, and people would still watch the NFL. It has taken over everyone's life, almost everyone, and that's just what it is. As far as Taylor Swift and Kelsey and all that stuff, again, that stuff will only bother you if you keep watching it. So anytime I would see something pop up and it's her, I'm used to it. I'm used to that kind of coverage, especially when I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys. Every time the Dallas Cowboys would score or something went against them, they always have that camera on Jerry Jones. And that's not by accident. Jerry Jones is an attention, you know what. That's how the Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable sports franchise on the planet. He knows marketing, he knows business, and that's what he's good at. The problem is he's not good at managing a football team to win. It's been almost 30 years now. He still can't get it into his head that he is a meddler to the point where he's a detriment to his team winning. So they go ahead and blame Dak. They'll go ahead and blame the coach that's coaching at that time. They'll blame the defensive coordinator. They'll blame the running back. They'll blame anybody because they don't know what else to blame. Guys, Jerry Jones is to blame. Now, as far as Taylor Swift is concerned, yeah, they're taking advantage of the publicity because they've got young girls knowing who Travis Kelce is. That didn't happen until he started dating Taylor Swift. They get that market now. Now they have everybody by the you know what's, and yeah, so they're gonna ride that thing. It is what it is. Yeah, I think it was crazy how Micah Parsons hardly got any holding calls on him. Seen so many face masks. Speaking of Micah Parsons, I kind of lost a little respect for Micah here today. He had some backlash towards the Defensive Player of the Year result. I'm sorry, folks, but T.J. Watt has been screwed out of 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. One by Aaron Donald, this year by Myles Garrett, and the other by Stephon Gilmore. T.J. Watt should have at least 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, probably 4. He's the best defensive player in the NFL, and he's been the best defensive player in the NFL for 5 years. It's embarrassing. It's an absolute embarrassment that I don't know what this guy did to anybody. I don't know what they're trying to pull. This seems like very Mr. Olympia type politics. I don't know why they're trying to make Myles Garrett this god when he's not. Okay. The guy had 1 sack in the last 6 games. 1. Our backup Steeler player, our backup had more interceptions in those 6 games than he had sacks. How does that make sense? TJ had beaten him by 5 sacks. They played the same amount of games. Actually, TJ played one less game. And actually, no, they might have played the same game because I think Myles Garrett sat out of week 17. So, yeah, this year's awards were terrible. Probably one of the worst NFL awards I've ever seen. Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry, Christian McCaffrey was the MVP this year. I don't know what the deal is with this Lamar Jackson. People want Lamar Jackson to be better than he is. Folks, he's not. He's a good player, but he can't throw down the field, guys. He cannot throw down the field consistently. He cannot throw the ball consistently down the damn field. Stop trying to tell me something is when it isn't. And then you had CJ Stroud, who I have a lot of respect for. But Puka was the rookie of the year this year, guys. Puka was unbelievable. Unbelievable. If you're watching these games and you're seeing the effect on the game with these guys, I don't know. I don't know where too much feel good stuff. There are voters that had TJ Watt outside the top 3. Those guys should have their votes revoked. Seriously, somebody needs to campaign for that. But with that, Gerald, I've been talking about baseball, talking a little football.
Intel says he didn't get a notification again. That's weird. Maybe it's because we overlapped one after the other. Maybe because we were both on the air at the same time for like a minute or so. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure. So I do apologize for that, Intel. But I told you he was coming on at 11.
Well, Intel said something about, I had mentioned it before you got here. He had mentioned right before I was leaving, or right after I was about to leave post game.
Yes.
He had said that Roberts doesn't hit or pitch.
Yes.
Which is hilarious because he does choose who pitches and who hits. That's what he does. Or some would say it's actually Andrew Friedman and his analytics. But I've watched these games, folks. This is my team. I'm not going to just say something without facts. I'm not blind. I can gauge what I'm looking at. And there's too many duds that are in charge. There's too many duds that are in charge, and one of them is Dave Roberts. So all the excitement in Dodgerland right now, I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna enjoy the season because Ohtani and Yamamoto are huge pickups. I mean, really, really. Glass now. There's an injury issue there, but he does have really good stuff when he's on. So we're going to have to wait for that. Kershaw coming back, the reason why I didn't want him back is because it was one less issue with Roberts. It had more to do with Roberts than Kershaw. Of course, I'd love to have Kershaw finish as a Dodger. I'm not a heartless prick when it comes to this, but I don't trust Dave Roberts. He's going to put him in a high-pressure situation when it matters, and he's going to blow it. You know why I know this? Because it's happened like 10 times. More than that. That's at least from my memory. So
I can't, cool, bro. I can't say that Stafford is better than Mahomes. I just can't get there.
What are you, crazy? Cool,
yeah,
bro?
I know. He's a Rams fan. Come on.
It doesn't matter. You need to start learning the facts.
He sees everything through blue and gold helmet.
No. Cool, bro. You're going to learn a
spiral.
You're going to learn a valuable lesson from
Rams
an
horn.
adult, okay, that you don't really know, but I'm going to teach you a little bit.
And you shouldn't watch The Boys until
Stafford
you're 18.
is probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame.
I'd say so.
The fact that he did what he did in Detroit with that organization, he comes to the Rams, he wins the Super Bowl, and is still playing well. I thought he was done last year. Kind of had a renaissance this year. Yeah. But I think the Rams' amazing offseason really, really reinvigorated him. Because there was some issues in training camp. There was disconnect. And I was like, this is when things could go wrong. But something clicked, and we saw the results of how the Rams ended up kind of finishing the season, which was a lot better than when they started. And that's what happens when they don't allow you to train, they don't allow you to practice, that you have to kind of come into the season really not really equipped to do what you need to do, especially with new guys. But once they got it figured out, they started looking good. But in the end here, buddy, no one is better than Patrick Mahomes. Not Lamar Jackson, not Matt Stafford, not Herbert out of San Diego, out of LA Chargers. Sorry, but not Russell Wilson, no one. Not Kirk Cousins, no. Patrick Mahomes is sitting on the top. And then you have a second, everyone is second tier. Yes, even Lamar Jackson is second tier to Patrick Mahomes. MVPs mean nothing. They mean nothing when you've only won 2 playoff games since 2018. Patrick Mahomes has won more playoff games this year than Lamar Jackson's won playoff games since 2018.
Thank you for the super chat, Intel.
Kenny Pickett is going to have one more chance next year. I'm not saying they're not going to draft a quarterback in the draft. They're not going to pick him in the first round. They need a center. I'm not going to bore you guys with the names that I'm thinking about because that's not what this show is about. I'm not going to go into the details of what the Steelers.
You did the other day. I think you did.
I did because someone had mentioned it. That's the only reason why I brought it up.
Did
but
you
I'm
see
not.
Intel's question though?
Intel, Joe. I actually meant Ohtani can't pitch and hit. He's gonna. Oh, I'm sorry, Intel. I'm sorry. I was surprised when I was leaving. I'm sorry. I doubted you for a second. I apologize. Go ahead. Put that back in. I didn't finish what he said.
Okay. Let me see. He just said screenshot this. That's all. He's going to be constantly injured.
He's going to be consistently injured. Screenshot. No. If you're talking about pitching, sure, his second major operation. But if next year it don't work out pitching, I'm going to feel pretty good that he's going to hit 40 home runs and bang in about 110, 120 RBIs behind Mookie and Freeman. So Mookie and Freeman really did not perform in the playoffs. And to some degree, it's very difficult to perform when you're starting every game 4 and 6-0. So they were all pressing, especially Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Now, if we don't have a Dumbski putting in the wrong pitcher every damn freaking game, and we actually make this work, or he makes it work, and they can actually get at bat at home with like a 0-0 start, I believe that it's going to be murderer's row for the opponent. You're talking about Mookie, Freddie, and Ohtani. You might get past Mookie, you might get past Freeman, but how are you going to get past Ohtani? You can't get past 3. 3 is going to be too much. 3 is going to be too much. Plus, the Dodgers are going to have money set aside for the deadline. So if they need to go get one more pitcher that might be available, be on the lookout for that.
Okay. They need.
Gerald,
they
tell
will
Joe
need
he's wrong about Stafford. No, I'm not wrong. Cool, bro. He's not better than Patrick Mahomes.
He's not.
Sorry.
He's not. Sorry.
I
agree. But I think the Dodgers will need more pitching, Joe. I really do. I'm not 100% sold on the Dodgers this year until I see a little bit better staff.
It might have already happened, guys. It might have already happened. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. If he's just a hitter, if he's just a DH, he would have been a Dodger if the NL had the DH 5 years ago when he re-signed. Was it 5 years ago? I think it was 5 years ago. So now that they got the DH, he wanted the DH in case he wasn't pitching. So it is what it is. I'm happy he's there as a hitter because I think he's the closest thing to Babe Ruth we'll ever see in this era.
Really?
Yeah. He's a freak. He's a freak. Gerald told Joe Ohtani is a traitor.
What? Oh, because he's an Angels fan like me. But come on, cool, bro. Angels have sucked.
Show, Kurt, right?
Let me just say, can I say this real quick, Joe?
Sure.
As an Angels fan, as a fellow Angels fan, cool, bro, who was just given a Dodgers jersey over the course of Christmas. So I'm being told I have to like the Dodgers back again, like I used to back when I was a kid. But the Angels, they had how many years of 2 of the best players in baseball? Even together, they had them for a couple years, and they still How many games did they win in the playoffs, Joe? I think between,
None.
none.
They made one run since then.
One run, one playoff run, all those years. He just
There are some organizations that just know how to construct a team and win, and then there's some that just
he needed to go. And you know what? The Angels are stupid for not trading. I said this to Jamie. I think I said it on the show like a year or 2 years ago that they needed to trade Ohtani and Trout for assets because they weren't going to put a team around them that was going to win a World Series, Joe. The Angels are just that inept of a.
They were never able to get pitching. Rendon was a terrible signing, considering what
their minor leagues are horrible. Their
minor league is horrible. You got Albert Pujols. Probably he played in St. Louis for 10 years.
I would have traded for both. I would have traded both and got a ton of assets for years for both those guys.
I don't know. I don't think Artie does a lot of thinking. Artie Moreno is one of the lucky ones. He got the team at a price that was, when you look at it now, it's almost mind-boggling how cheap he got this team, and it's in a beautiful area. And by the way, it's the best stadium when it comes to food. I went there for my daughter's national anthem. She sang the national anthem there with a big group of people in her school. And Ohtani was pitching that night too. I got lucky. I saw a little bit of it because we ended up leaving early. But I ended up seeing him pitch live for the first time for a couple innings. And it's a beautiful stadium, beautiful environment around there, which you would think, man, this would be a nice promotion thing with your.
And it's an old stadium.
Yeah, and that's fine. Baseball stadiums can be old. Fenway is old. Dodger Stadium is old. Still looks good. Still good atmosphere. Still can get in and out quick. It's a beautiful area. So you have a lot to market. But if you're not going to communicate with the right management help and right players, it's not going to work.
I think it's not a bad stadium, Intel. I like the Pond and I like Angel Stadium. I think both they're little.
Don't ever tell me, Intel, that something's ugly when I say it's not. You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
Cool, bro. Talk to Jamie about the Angels. He'll tell you the same thing. He was the one that had to listen to me say that they should have traded Ohtani and Tout, and he was like, "No, don't trade them." And look what happened. Trout is now over the hill, washed up, injured every single year, half the season. And Ohtani, he's gone, and you got nothing for him. Absolutely nothing for him.
That would be a good question to ask the team. You knew this guy was gone at the end of the year. Why didn't you trade him?
Stupid. Absolutely.
Seriously, why did they trade him? They knew he was gone. They knew he was going to warrant $600 million at that time. No, I'm sorry. It was $500 million. I heard $500 million during the season. So you know already he's not going to come back. You're not paying him $500 million. So the question I have for Artie Moreno and that management is, what kept you from getting something? What was it? Were you worried you're not going to get the money after August and through September? Like, what were you really worried about? That would be a good question to ask.
Henry, he's not a good GM, with all due respect. If the proof's in the... Okay, Rob Pelinka's success... Well, okay, I'm just going to say the Angels have not won a playoff game in how many years?
Look, Minasian is not... he's probably not the true shot caller on that team. It's Artie Moreno, right?
But he couldn't even sell the team, Joe, last year. Remember, he tried to sell the team and nobody wanted to buy it.
Artie Moreno is one of those guys that he's like a spouse who keeps asking you, where do you want to eat? And then you're like, well, let's eat here. No, I don't want to eat there. Well, where do you want to eat? I don't know.
By the way, Petco Park, that one is, yeah, I went there in 2016. I want to say, yeah, that one's not good. I don't know. What do you think about Petco, Joe? I'm
Well,
not
I'm
a
there
big
at
fan of
least.
Petco.
I'm there at least 3 to 6 times a year.
I'm not a fan of Petco.
Really?
It's old. It's
Petco Park?
yeah.
No,
It's
not old.
It's to me.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful stadium.
Okay. Angel Stadium is old too, but at least they tried to do a lot
Your
of.
excuse on that is terrible, Gerald. You should figure out what the hell you want. I've been married since 2008. Didn't tell.
Petco was uninteresting. There's nothing to Petco. Didn't enjoy it.
What do you want it to do? Blow warm
Here we go.
air up your rear end while you're sitting? Like what are you talking about?
Should look nice.
It does look nice. It's San Diego. It's beautiful. It's by the harbor.
San Diego's beautiful, but not Petco Park.
Give me a break.
What about the arena?
What arena?
San Diego Arena.
Which one?
Well, where the Clippers were playing.
Oh,
I went there for a U2 concert. That place is a dump.
That's a dump now. They play circus acts there or whatever the hell they do there.
Okay.
I pass by it every now and then.
Cool, bro. Have you been to Petco Park? Have you been to Petco Park?
How do you call it trash? Have you been there, cool, bro? Gerald, did you prefer Jack Murphy Stadium?
I didn't go to Jack Murphy, but I have.
So Jack Murphy turned into Qualcomm. Qualcomm got taken down a few years back, and now it's Snapdragon Stadium. It's a college stadium for the San Diego State Aztecs.
Did you meet your wife at school?
Yes, I met her at San Diego State.
Any baseball stadium is cool. All right, to an extent. I'll give you that, Jason. Nice. That's so nice. Yeah. Although Chavez Ravine, yeah, it is Chavez. I'll give you Chavez Ravine's nice.
I think the cool thing about Qualcomm Jack Murphy Stadium was the location. So I lived in Mission Valley for a few years, and it was so convenient to do things there. It's the central part of San Diego. I could get to the airport in 10 minutes. I go to a football game in 5 minutes. They had really cool malls there. You had Fashion Valley, you had Mission Valley. They had Seao's at that time, man, they had the greatest teriyaki. It was called Mama Seao's teriyaki chicken. Oh my God, the best freaking teriyaki and rice you'll ever eat in your life. And now it's a Buffalo Wild Wings. They had a really good atmosphere there in the late 90s and in the 2000s.
He had to close it.
Yeah, it was when he started
when he closed it.
When he was starting to go downhill, before what happened to him, they were struggling. He was having issues with management and all that. There was it's just unfortunate because that thing was. I can't figure out how no one took over at some point. It was a beacon of that town. So I don't know. I think about that a lot in the future. Like if I ever had a ridiculous amount of money, like $100 to $200 million, I've thought about maybe going to the Seau family and saying, hey, I want to get the restaurant back up somewhere. Because I think that Seau and Tony Gwynn, as big of a town as San Diego is, I think it's the 5th largest city in the world, in America. When those two guys checked out, I felt like San Diego's never been the same.
I agree.
Those guys mattered, man. Those guys mattered in San Diego. They really did.
Well, what do you have left? Everybody checked out outside of the Padres.
Well, I'm talking about the people. Those guys were the pillars. Jerry Coleman was another one. But, he lived his life. And,
Tony Gwynn
checking out early and Seau. Those guys were just, they were they're amazing people, man. They did so much for the community. Joey, do you like movies about Glenn?
About what? I got to look at this tab.
Go bring it up.
Oh my gosh.
The hell I do. I'm out there busting my buns every night. Yes, I actually do like movies about gladiators. I like Gladiator. I like Spartacus. I don't know. Would Braveheart be considered a gladiator type movie?
I wouldn't.
What
A
about 300?
gladiator?
Yeah.
No. Cool.
What about 300? Is that like
That's
a
more of a
gladiator?
gladiator. Yeah, that's more of a
Yeah.
gladiator.
Yeah, I like those movies.
Yeah.
I do.
Have you ever been to the Swing Inn Cafe?
I have not gone yet. Mr. Hank Schrader owns that joint. Hank Schrader, for those of you who don't know, that's the guy that played the DEA agent in Breaking Bad.
Costera in San Diego.
Yeah, the Swing Inn Cafe. Oh wait, I'm thinking of something else.
Okay, so Swing Inn Cafe. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's the same one. Yeah, Kurt. Yeah, I haven't gone there yet. But I'm planning on to.
Have
He
you
used to
seen
go.
Costera?
He used to go to my cousin's restaurant a lot down the street. My cousin owns a restaurant there. It's called Soro's Grill.
Have you been to Costera?
I have not. So Dean Norris was a frequent. He was a frequent eater at my cousin's restaurant down the street of the Swing Inn, and he lives in the area. And then when he bought Swing Inn, there was a lot of advertisement on it. There's a lot of pub about it. I just haven't had a chance to go over there for some weird reason. I should have been there months ago.
I still keep trying to get you to go to Lucha Libre.
Where's that?
Just off. Oh, I forgot. Let me get you the location because I've been there twice.
Yeah, Sean. Kevin Mitchell. I remember I was watching a Giant game live. This was years ago. I watched it live when he caught the ball with his bare hand on a pop up.
It's on Washington, 1810 West Washington. I've been there twice. That's right off the 5.
Where's this?
1810 Washington Street.
What city?
San Diego.
Oh, it's San Diego. I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah, really good burritos there.
Which one should I get, the carne asada or the chicken?
You want to go for the straight Californian, or you can carne asada? It doesn't matter. I've had like I've had different burritos every time I've gone there. So yeah, it's really good. It's small as far as compact. They usually have a line there, so be prepared for that. But yeah, really good. Absolutely cannot say good things about Lucha Libre. Some of the best burritos I've ever had in California.
Who's Joe Cup? Cool, bro. Yeah, I'm a carne asada type. Joe go to Cafe Coyote. I don't know where that is. No defense, no defense at all. Tyrone, he's a decent 3-point shooter, but does nothing else. Sean C.D. Lamb is
in Cafe Coyote's in Old Town, Joe.
Old Town in Temecula?
No, San Diego, 2461 San Diego.
Okay, I haven't been in Old Town in a while. I have to go check it out. Cooper Cup is done. Cool, bro. Come on, get with the program here with football, man. You're killing me over here. So, going back to the game tonight, I wanted to talk about one of the things I noticed tonight that I didn't talk about on post game was, did you notice that Austin Reeves' points were very quiet tonight?
Yes.
Usually that happens to a great player, right?
Yes, a lot of layups.
Right, and I'm sitting there, and I remember it was me and Stone, and we saw the graphic come up, and I'm like, what? Did he really score? I'm like, did he really score 25 points? And this is before he finished with 27. I didn't even notice it. All we were looking at is his defense, and I'm starting to get to a point where I want to try and really come to grips with the fact that there's certain things these guys can't do, but they're doing the other thing really well. We can't let that be a distraction. Tonight's game, while the defense wasn't good, they played with precision on offense, except for maybe a handful of plays. Would you agree with that? Or would you disagree? I mean, they shot 56% from the field.
Yeah.
They hit
Over 40.
45% of their free throws. I'm sorry, 45% of their three-pointers, and they didn't look none of them looked rushed. None of them looked like they were. I mean, there was a couple of like
The
trying to
defense
beat.
was terrible on both sides, Joe.
So what did they do? Did they just decide, look, we're killing it on offense, we're just going to run? Because it felt like that to me. They're like, we can't stop these guys on defense. We're just going to outscore them.
That's just when you were playing simple. When you're up and down, when you are hitting it and you are feeling good as a team, you're just worried about that end. You could tell they were just focused in. Once they got hot early on, you were just focused on that end. They forgot everything about defense or sticking to it. All they're worried about is just trying to stop them enough to get back the ball. That's all they were concerned with, especially in that second quarter. It was about layup lines, time and time again, shoot those threes. Yeah, that second quarter, you saw it back and forth, back and forth. Just give up a layup, go layup, 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 three-pointer, three-pointer. That's all they cared about. It was so much of just a, I don't know, a rec game, like you go to the park and do a pickup game. It was so much like that in that second quarter.
Did D'Lo make that much of a difference tonight, especially on the back end of a back-to-back, which
He did when he went on that surge. That surge he did, that first
it
one,
did.
that was a killer.
Yeah,
That
it
was
did.
a
It
killer.
did really reinvigorated them. But then again, they did slow down in the third, but they still were managed to get around it.
Yeah.
Which isn't a surprise. I had explained
They
this
only
on-
allowed 20 points in the fourth quarter, though, the Lakers.
What happened?
They only allowed 20 points in the fourth quarter.
That is true. That is true. Did they win I think they lost the first quarter and then
Won every other quarter
the
after
second
that.
quarter. That was a historic 51 points.
51 points.
I didn't even notice it. I didn't notice it. I was too busy.
Well, we were being pissed off about no defense. That's why.
Because it's always that fear that their scores are covered by the opponent scoring so quickly. That's always my issue. They can't make a run typically. They don't make a run like the teams against them do. They can run a 12-point run in a matter of 2 minutes, and then they're down 8 or 9. That's the frustrating part. I'd say that's been the most frustrating part about this season. If I had to pick one, is that they can't stop just these crazy runs in very few amount of minutes. But tonight, it looked like they were committed on doing what they were doing well all night, and they went from beginning to end doing it, which I'm not going to complain, especially on the back end of the back-to-back, and the fact that LeBron looked like he was tired.
Trying to find a JPEG for tonight's game. It's funny because I'm trying to find one of D'Lo talking the smack because I just worried about in that second quarter. It's like he's talking the smack because he was going off and he was already just talking the smack, and I'm just like, he's either going to get a T or we're going to end up paying for it. But no, it worked out. It worked out well for the Lakers tonight. You were right. Should have had more faith. Again, New Orleans, I thought on a day's rest would be a little bit better defensively, but you can see that they have a lot of the same issues that the Lakers do. So
you saw Zion get to the basket at will.
Yeah.
And
he also let other people by at will.
And that's that they do perform like the Lakers in that they do make good plays, but then they allow good plays on the other side as well. 10-0 run, like I said. Yeah, you did say that, Ty. Good observation on that one.
Yes, you did.
No one can guard Zion. A man that huge and being able to be athletic as he is pretty good. If we were to get the 6th seed, the Lakers are going to have to win 22 more games.
Really?
22 more games. They're going to have to win 50. And they might even get to a 5th seed if they do that. So right now they're 28 and 26. So they're going to have to win 22 more games, which means they're going to have to only lose 7 more games. I'm sorry, 6 more games. Can the Lakers go 22 of the next 28 games?
Oh, no. Not this team. I mean, 18-8, we saw that. That's how they closed the season last season. You really see a repeat of that kind of success?
How do they end it? 19-9, you said?
18-8.
18-8. That's still too much. See, they had a good finish, but they still lost 8. Would you say their team was better last year or this year?
I would say the team was better last year.
Okay.
After the trade deadline, I think they were gelling a lot better on both sides of the ball, more consistently, I should say.
Right now, they're 2 games out of the 8th seed against Dallas. You might as well, and it's really 3 because it's 3 losses behind. They're 4 losses behind the Pelicans after beating them tonight. That's still too much. 6th seed, 21 losses. They're 5 games back against the Kings. There is no other way. They have to win likely 22 of the next 28 games to get the 6th seed. And the 5th seed is a possibility too, because right now, other than one extra win, the Suns and the Kings are pretty much virtually together. The Suns have 1 extra win and they have the same losses. That's it. Top 4 are 9 games ahead, 9 and 10 games ahead. So the top 4 is gone. The Lakers are looking already at right now. There's no chance they're going to get any home court advantage throughout the playoffs. So if you're asking for further affirmation on why the Lakers are likely not to win the championship this year, that's the proof. They're not making up 10 games to get a 4th seed. That's even if they won the remaining 28 games, they probably still wouldn't get it. So they're going to have to come to the realization that they're going to, unless they get the 5th seed and the Clippers get the 4th seed. So it'll be a back end way of playing at home. But let's put a scenario here. Let's say they get the 6th seed and they play the Thunder. The Thunder are a young team. I could see an upset there. And then if they play the Clippers, let's say in the 2nd round, now the home court advantage thing is gone. They're going to be at home for 4 or 7 games. Is that enough for them to have a little bit of that momentum to then play Denver or Minnesota or Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals? It's a lot to think about. There's a lot of scenarios there.
It is quite a bit.
What team do you see falling in the standings from West after the All-Star break? It's a good question. I don't see. I could see the Jazz falling off a little bit. Warriors are struggling right now. I don't know. That's a good question. I think based off, let's say if no one gets injured, like there isn't a catastrophic injury like Luka or Brandon Ingram or Fox from Sacramento, or let's say Booker in Phoenix. I think we're going to see likely the top 9. I think you're going to see what you see right now, and then some teams will switch spots. But I see Lakers.
Think Utah and the Kings.
I could see the Jazz dropping off a little bit, and maybe the Warriors or the Rockets coming up. That's a possibility. But I think the Lakers, based off how they've played and what they're likely going to do and the advantage they have at playing close to home pretty much for a month, I think 1 through 9 is probably pretty tight. I think the Lakers are going to have at least a 9 spot, worst case scenario in the end.
And just to give you an update, Joe, as we do, just to love to remind Rodell on the mistake we made with JHS. Cam Whitmore tonight, 18 minutes, 17 points. That's almost a point a minute.
At some point, I'm going to start ignoring things. Gerald, you know how I operate.
I know how you are, yes.
At some point, if I'm going to keep telling you what's going on and you're not listening, I'm going to stop talking to you. You're not even going to exist. It's starting to become a waste of time. And I don't like my time wasted. That's the pet peeve. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then there's variations of 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Don't waste my mother effing time at some point. We're not all going to be right 100% of the time. We get that. No one is. But we're like a Alex Rodriguez, Ken Griffey Jr. in high school. We are batting 600, 700 most of the time. Almost all the time. And that's a pretty good percentage. Can't get into your feelings in this thing. If you won't get into your feelings, you're gonna crap out at that point. That draft last year could have eased so much of your issues if you just picked the best player available. And the fact that we recognize that this was a unique situation. I have never, unless I've forgotten, I don't remember. It doesn't happen in the NBA draft that the fourth best player drops to 21. Was it 21? Yeah, 21.
20.
20. That doesn't happen. So everyone followed suit. They all thought, oh, something must be wrong. Who cares? You got to pick the best player possible. If he doesn't work out, it's okay. He's the best player available. And yes, Sean, I have used the Randy Moss example. He is the Randy Moss of the 2023 draft. And Houston Rockets, boy, did they won the draft. And whether Amin is going to be something, I don't really know. I don't know if Amin's going to be the guy. I don't know if he's going to be a number one. And I wouldn't be surprised if Cam Whitmore is better than him down the road. He's that good, guys. And the Lakers could have saved themselves a lot of headache, worrying about depth, worrying about certain players by just picking the best damn player available instead of trying
in both rounds.
Instead of thinking. Second round is always,
I know it's much more of a crapshoot.
Yeah, it's a second round. I'm not gonna harp on them because they've actually been good at picking in the second round. But this was the first round pick that I can remember where they had a bona fide, like, hey, we got this pick. Let's try and really, really bring somebody in that can contribute now, right now. And when I heard the reasons why they picked him, I wanted to throw up. And the fact that he was wearing that felt green, whatever the hell that was, with his stupid hair, just all the optics went down the toilet in my head. All the optics went down, just stupid. You could have used it. You could have drafted Whitmore and said, "Man, look, you're coming to LA, baby. It was worth it, right? You're an LA Laker, and guess what? You're going to be playing a lot as a rookie. You're going to have LeBron James getting you the ball on fast breaks. You have an unselfish AD to play with. Oh my God, he would have been so good with this team. Imagine the breaks with him. Imagine the breaks with AD on one side and Cam Whitmore on the other."
Well, I wanted to report some good news for Lakers fans before we get to the end of the evening here. Max Christie walked out of Crypto.com arena tonight without the aid of any crutches or a walking boot. So,
yay.
Small victories, Joe. Small victories.
When you're that young, you heal pretty quick. So good for him.
Yes. Good for
him. You can't sell someone. You can't sell a player who can't shoot, can't dribble, can't distribute, can't hit a layup, can't hit a three, and doesn't have any confidence. And doesn't have any distinctive athleticism that's going to separate himself from the pack, and can't play defense.
I mean, look at tonight, Joe. You know, when it came down to it, the Darvin Ham infinite wisdom that he has trusts Skylar Mays over Jalen Hood-Schifino. It's not the first game, Joe. We're already 50 games into the season, and still you have zero confidence in either rookie at this point in time.
Yeah, at this point, we're beating a dead horse. That dead horse is Jalen, unfortunately. if we somehow see a miracle next year of improvement, I'd be happy to say I was wrong. But we're not going to know until next year, I guess. But as of right now, this team being where it is, it's just we couldn't afford to wait. We had a chance to bring somebody in that could contribute immediately, and they completely botched it. And I'm not going to say any more negative about, because we had a very good night tonight. That'll be
Yes,
the
we
last
did.
thing I say negatively. But the Lakers do win tonight, 139 to
122.
122. Lakers had a pretty historic second quarter by scoring 51 points. They held the New Orleans Pelicans to 20 points in the fourth quarter, so they were kind of clutch towards the end there. They also made history in that they had 5 starters score over 20 points. I can't remember the last time that happened. So kudos to the Lakers. Kudos to the energy tonight. They came out on the back end of a back-to-back and played with energy that we've been always hoping that they could play with. And with that, I'm getting low on my nightcap here, so I think it's about time that we call it a night. It's been a busy night. It's been a good night. Gerald, thank you for being on tonight. Again, it's always a pleasure to share a nightcap with you, even though you're not really drinking a nightcap. And for those of you who were drinking with me, thank you. Next time, tell me what you're drinking. I can give you a shout out. And
Maybe tomorrow, though, since we don't really have anything planned yet for Lakers weekend, if we do see each other in Las Vegas, maybe we should stream it live.
I will confirm that in the morning, and we'll figure it out. And if not, I'm sure we'll do something tomorrow to talk about the details of what's coming up here.
Got 3 days.
Absolutely. And until then, this will be the last nightcap until Tuesday, but we'll still have shows during the week. If you have any questions, please email us at LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com. I have a Twitter. I don't use it a lot, but I might need an excuse to use it. If you want to go ahead and send me a Twitter message, it's Joe Soro LFB. And of course, if you guys want to make some comments on the shows, I'm usually pretty good at catching those as well. But until then, thank you for being here tonight. Until next time, we'll see you next time.